wonder, where do you get that final prayer after the rosary? It is the Liturgy of the Hours. And I read it off of this app called Laudate, Laudate. And it's a free app that either Android or Apple you can get. And it has all kinds of things on it. It has the Mass readings, the Liturgy of the Hours. The Liturgy of the Hours, by the way, is the universal prayer of the church. All priests, all religious, are required to do the Liturgy of the Hours. That's part of their obedience, if you will. So this is a universal prayer of the church. The faithful can be a part of that too. So that's why I read the evening prayers at 6 p.m. That's the closest prayer time that we have to start with. So that's where I get it from. But on this app, they have the Rosary, the Order of the Mass, a daily Bible verse, the Stations of the Cross, 2 Catholic Bibles, Catholic media connections, access to Vatican documents, including the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So you have all of this free at the touch of your hands. So that's the marvels of modern technology. So I would strongly recommend this app or a similar app to help you throughout the day. All right. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to start off with the theme verse for the Bible. What is the theme of the entire Bible?
John 20:31.
John 20:31, which says, all together, "These are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name." This is what is our guiding principle for our entire overview that we are doing. Why are we studying the Bible at all? What is the point of the Bible? What is the theme? And it could be easily summarized in this verse. These are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. Whether we're talking about Genesis 1:1 or Revelation 21 verse 1, it doesn't matter. The whole of the scriptures are all about believing in Jesus, that he is his Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. That is the purpose of the scriptures. Yes?
I have like a statement file that RCA gives us, and I thought it was interesting. It says that those words were said before whenever the consecrated host is elevated at Mass for the assembly for reverence. Is that true?
This verse?
It says promises words. I don't know. Have you heard of that before?
It may be referencing something else in that same gospel passage.
Okay.
My Lord and my God is probably what it's referencing, because that's in that same part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it doesn't really point to it specifically, I guess.
It might be a footnote that you may not be just immediately not seeing. So, yeah. All right. Good to see you. So that is our theme. A quick overview from what we did last week. All right, so you have your Bible, Genesis 1:2. We actually got into a second verse. According to Genesis 1:2, what was the condition of the earth?
Formless and void.
Void and formless. What does void mean?
Empty.
Empty, that's right. It was formless, it had no form or structure, and it was empty. There was nothing in it. Good. What does God do in the first 3 days of creation? What would be a good summary?
He gave it form.
That's exactly right. Good job. Someone's going to heaven. He gives it form. Where there was formlessness, he gives it form. What does he do? He makes light from darkness. He makes sky from sea. He makes land from sea. He distinguishes the parts of creation. That's giving it form. Rather than it being an amorphous blob, it now has structure. You know what is light, what is dark. You know what is heaven, what is the sea. You know what is land and what is the sea. Okay, that's the first three. What's the next?
He filled the void.
He fills it. That's exactly it. He fills it up. What does he fill the sky with?
Has
No,
Sun,
suns, moons, stars. That's what he fills them with. What does he fill the sky with? Birds. What does he fill the sea with? Fish. What does he fill the land with? Animals and man. Okay? So now it not only has form, but now it's filled. So the condition of Genesis 1:2 has been rectified by God in the 6 days of creation. Why is there an aleph and a tav in Genesis 1:1?
beginning and end.
What is aleph and what is tav?
Alpha and Omega.
It's the first and last letters of the
Alphabet.
Hebrew alphabet. It would be like alpha and omega in Greek. Be like what in English? A and Z. So why are these two letters in Genesis 1:1? What's that?
Nobody knows.
100% sure. Just guesses have been made.
Good. What do I think it is? Very good. No one knows why these two letters are there. But I think this is Jesus' calling card. This is Jesus making himself known in the first verse of the Bible. Why would I say that? He's the beginning and the end. Do you know where he said that? Book where? Revelations. Yes, the book of Revelation said that. Jesus said in two parts, I am the Alpha and the beginning and the end. Yes. He says it twice in the book of Revelation. So it's interesting that we have the first and last letters of the Hebrew Bible on the fourth place setting, the fourth word in the first verse of the Bible. And no one knows why they're there. I think it's because this is Jesus making himself known. Okay? Was God tired? Is that why he rested?
No.
No. What does it mean? Why did he rest?
A precedence for us to follow.
Very good.
Stop and consider.
It was a teaching us a pattern to follow, to be like him, because we're to work 6 days and then rest and reflect on our labors, as well as take the time to commune with the God of our lives. By the way, where do we find that? Exodus. Focus a little bit more. Where in Exodus? Which is the Ten Commandments tells us. This is part of the third commandment about honoring the Sabbath. God explicitly says in there, 6 days you shall work, and the seventh is the Sabbath. Why? Because God created the universe in that much time, and you should do the same. You should follow in his footsteps. It's not because we need a break, although that's part of it. But the point is that because God does it, we do it.
And we also have to reflect on the days that passed as God looked upon his works.
Yes. And hopefully we can say it was very good. Yes. Very good. Yes. So, well, let's move on to the next question. So, if God created the Sabbath for us to rest, why do we go to church on Sunday?
Because the first Because we're under the new creation.
New creation is part of that. What did you say, Evelyn?
I forgot already.
Okay. So we're under the
First
new
day,
huh?
the first day of the week.
So
Jesus rose.
that's right. Genesis is an account of the old creation. And on that, the last day of the week, God rested, and that's what we follow. But Jesus rose on the first day of the week. Every gospel account makes this very clear. What's the first day of the week? Sunday. Therefore, just like we followed God in the old covenant system, Jesus is teaching us the new covenant creation, and we follow him by honoring the day that he rose again to create this new creation. So once again, we are following God. Get it? So when the Seventh-day Adventists come and they tell you, oh, you're breaking God's law, it says clearly in the Ten Commandments, you should not work on Saturday. Church should be on Saturday. You go, that was true for the old covenant system. But Jesus created a new covenant. And he died and rose again on the first day of creation. And so we honor the new creation, which is better than the old creation. It's greater than the, how do you know it's greater? Because what?
Jesus is there.
Because Jesus is there, yes. And this creation will pass away. This creation will pass. Why? Because of sin. It needs a renovation. Well, guess who the renovator is? Jesus. When he comes again, there will be a new heaven, a new earth to reflect the new creation. Now we're getting into the stuff that we learned in the book of Revelation. Remember that? It's been a while, but it doesn't go away. That's what the vision of chapters 20 and 21 are all about. A new heavens and a new earth. Is that only in the book of Revelation? No. The prophet Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 60, was the first to talk about a new heaven and a new earth. Because the former creation is passing away. Why? Because of sin. It has to be purified, it has to be transformed. This body of ours will die. This is part of the old creation. But what does our faith teach us? We will rise again in a resurrected new creation body. By the way, has any other human being gotten a new creation body before then, before the end of time? Yes. Who? Mary. That's what we believe about the Assumption. Her body and soul aren't here. They're in heaven. But she is fully united to her new body, like we all will at the end of time. Okay? Get it? Old creation, new creation. Yes?
I heard something interesting on the radio this morning, the Catholic channel, Gus Lloyd. He said that actually the fact that we do not have any parts of Mary is proof that she did rise, because the early church and even now, we take care of the saints after they pass away. We
Correct.
have relics, and we don't
Yes.
have any relics of her.
Correct. Yes. That, when I was converting, was a very powerful argument in favor of the Assumption, the belief in the Assumption. We do not have any relics of Mary like we do of Saint Peter. You can go to Rome and see his bones, right? Patty was there. But can we go to a church and see the bones of our Blessed Mother? No, but heaven knows that the Catholic Church honors Mary. I mean, every other church is Our Lady of this or that, right? Where are her bones? None, nowhere. None of those churches have any relics of her bones or hair or anything like that, like other saints, like St. Peter or St. Catherine, or you just name any, St. Joseph, St. Paul, St. Andrew,
St. Charles.
anyone. All the other saints, St. Charles, there are relics of St. Charles in the altar of our church. You're aware of that. Okay? Every church that's named after St. Patrick's in North Hollywood have relics of St. Patrick somewhere, because it's to honor the person for whom you're building the church. Well, for Our Lady, you can't do that because there's no relics.
Gloria said, Saint Elijah has no relics.
Correct.
And
But we typically do not build churches in honor of Old Testament saints. In the East, I believe they do. I believe there are churches named after Moses and Elijah, and they regard them as saints.
Is there a reason why?
Because the Old Testament saints were good, but the New Testament saints are better. Why? Because they are a part of the new covenant creation, whereas the Old Testament were part of the Old Covenant. The book of Hebrews makes that very clear. Hebrews 11. The Old Testament saints were good and powerful, but Jesus is greater than them all. That's the major theme of the book of Hebrews, is that while the Old Testament was good, the law was good, the temple system was good, God instituted it, what is better? The new covenant, Jesus, is greater than the Old Testament. That's why we meet on Sunday rather than Saturday, because Jesus is God. He has that power to make that change.